Hi people! I mean, this book is so lush. I love it. Yeah, that's the collector's edition of Crooked Kingdom. And as you can see, the cover is amazing. It has black striped edges. At the beginning, it has the map in yellow. And then we have here a letter from Leigh Bardugo and it's signed. And at the ending we have, like, I think it's 5 or 6 illustrations. Here we have the famous quote, "When you can beat the odds, change the game." And then we have, as we did in the first book, illustrations of the main characters, Kaz and Iner, Nina and Matthias, and Jasper and Wylan. And here, I was forgetting Kuwait. I have to say that I did read the books sometime like 2 years ago, something like this. And yeah, with the series on Netflix coming out and everything, I wanted to do a reread. And yeah, I decided to splurge and go for the collector's edition. And I love them. And yeah, I did a review also like 2 years ago, but I wanted to comment some new things about the book now. And I have to say that honestly, one of the best things that these books have for me is that they have tons of diverse representation. You have people with chronic disabilities, you have LGBTA+, you have different cultures, different religions, different ways of thinking. It touches on topics that are very important, like when you are raised and told that you have to hate someone because that person is different. How this bringing, filling your head with, you know, with hatred can affect the way in which you see the world, versus having another kind of education where you see that globalization and having people who's different coming together, it's actually pretty good. And there's a lot of things that I love about this book. I have to say that since I read the Six of Crows duology, what's wrong with me? Since I read the duology the first time, I have to say that Kath has become to be one of my favorite characters. I love that he has a disability because I am a chronically ill person, so having this kind of representation, I think it's amazing because it brings light, yeah, you know. I love that Kaz, despite having his broken leg, is able to do almost everything. And he's not a superhuman being. It's like there is moments in the books in which he's telling himself, okay, I'm going to pay for all this over-tidying myself, over-exerting myself, but I have to do this. And it proves that when we have chronic illnesses, we can do things, but sometimes we pay the price. And I love having Kat having to sit down and you know, his leg is not in pain, his leg is screaming. And I also did love a lot the idea where he's presented with the chance of healing his leg completely, and he says no. And for me, that's amazing, because when you are, I'm talking for me now, but sometimes you wish that you were, you know, that you didn't have all the handicaps that you have. But all those handicaps, it's what makes you you. So, you know, it's like when you're reading books, like, I don't know, Interview with a Vampire, you have Claudia. Claudia, it's a chronically ill person, and when she turns into a vampire, she miraculously heals. And it's like, okay, now I'm good before I was bad. And this is a distinction, I think, that it hurts us as chronically ill persons, people, because we are what we are, our disabilities are a part of ourselves. And having this, for me, it's like kind of a bad representation where, you know, you're converted into a vampire, or you get superpowers, or you can get miraculously healed, and now you're perfect than what you were before. We were perfect, and we are perfect as we are. So I love that Kaz says no to the chance of healing his leg completely and to being what he calls himself. I am a cripple, and people misjudge me because I'm a cripple and think that I cannot do the things that I can do. And I love that he's so strong, and I love that maybe physically, in a physical confrontation, maybe he won't be able to punch as hard as the other one, but he has his he's Kane and he can do lots of damage with that, and I love that he has found other ways, you know, to live his life. And I have to say that I admire the character of Cass. I also admire the way his mind thinks and how ruthless he is. I have to say that the character in the TV series, the actor is amazing, but I refer to him like Baby Cat because we still haven't seen all the ruthless things that he's able to do. And I wonder what surprises the Netflix series has still to show us in the new seasons. Another character that I love a lot is Iner, the Zulu girl, and I love how she reminds us of the Roma people, and I love the story that she has, how she comes from being a victim and she overcomes the system, the human trafficking. She makes you think about that and how she was plucked from her family, sold into slavery, into prostitution, and I love that he's a character that's strong and that she manages to survive that and wants to change the world, you know, one person at a time. And I think it's a very powerful message, and it makes you think about all those human slavery and human trafficking things, and how many people turn a blind eye to it, and there's politicians and there is people with money, and you know, that's something that I really love that this book makes you think, because it's something that sadly, it's still very real in our nowadays days. So yeah. Also, I love that we have a representation of, you know, LGBTI. I love how Jesper likes women, guys, and I love the relationship he has with Wylan. And also, I love that Wylan brings awareness about sometimes the relationships with your family members are not so good as you will expect. Wylan comes from an abusive father who treats him like he's a simpleton because he has trouble reading, and he judges him for the things that he can do and never stops to see the things that his son can do. And maybe he doesn't know how to read because the letters jumble before his eyes, but he knows how to do a lot of mathematics and chemistry, and he's an amazing kid. And I love that in the books, in the duology, we see how far Wylan has come from being this kid who has fears, who is somehow crippled by the way in which his father regards him. And I love how he comes to be on his own, and he comes to realize who his father really is, because during the book, the first book and part of the second one, you still see him as trying to be what his father wanted him to be, trying to understand his father. Maybe my father, it's not as bad as, you know, as all of that. And I love when he comes to the realization that he wasn't as bad, he was worse. And, you know, he comes to be on his own and deciding what's what and say, hey, here it stops. These are my boundaries, and, you know, everything else. I'm not going to say that to you because I don't want to spoil the book to you. So yeah, and also one of my favorite characters, it's Kath, as I say, and the other one is Nina. Nina, it's for me, it's like, I love her. I love how many things has happened to her, how much suffering has been thrown her way. And I love that she's a character that fights to overcome her losses, her drug addiction, and she wants to know she's this bubbly person. She's amazing, she's slow, she's irreverent. I love her. And sometimes she has been told that she has to be more quiet, more meek, more, and she is simply who she is. She's amazing. But I love, as I was saying, that when something happens to her, it's not like she shrugs it off. It affects her, and you can see in upcoming books how she's carrying the scars of the things that had happened to her. And she's a very amazing character, so fleshed out, so human. I love her. Yeah. And I love the relationship he has with Matthias. I love how they both become to overcome all this old hatred. And I love that it's not like the snap of a finger. I love how sometimes Matthias is looking at her doing magic and she's like, monster. And it's like, okay, that's my ingrained response, my ingrained answer that I have been told all my life. I have had it drilled into my head that they are monsters. But she is not a monster. Maybe everything I've been taught is wrong. And I love how the voice, when she uses magic, comes and says monster, but there is another voice, his own voice, that says beautiful. And I love how he becomes, you know, he begins to change everything that has been told to him. He begins to doubt things and to begin to judge for himself. But I love that, as I say, that it doesn't happen in a day or two, and that he's still dealing with things when this book reaches the conclusion it reaches. And sometimes he has accepted Nina for who she is, but sometimes when she's around other Grisha, he's thinking, oh my god, you know. And I love that he knows that there is something wrong in all this hatred, but it's not easy to overcome the teachings that you have had all your life drilled into your head. And I love how he tries, and I love how perfect he is, and I love how much he loves Nina, and I love the relationship they have because it's amazing. And yeah, this book is also about a heist. Yeah, the crows were sealed by the American Bankef. I forgot the name of the villain. Okay, well, I love how the crows were swindled. In the first book, they didn't get the money they were promised, and in this book, they are going to do everything they can to try to get their money back and the people back and everyone in one piece. And it has been an amazing read. I have to say that I love Leigh Bardugo. I love the worlds that she created, and I love that we have all this diversity and representation, as I say. And I love that she touches very important things like slavery, human trafficking, and the difference between cultures and religions, and how we are all humans and we have to look for our strong parts and the things that we can do opposed to the things that we can. And that sometimes maybe your blood family won't accept you, but you will have your own family, your own people, and you're going to be all the stronger because of all the struggles that you go through. So yeah. This is an amazing series, you guys. Well, duology. Yeah, I would love to have a series of the Six of Crows, but yeah, it's perfect as it is. So thank you for watching.